What's going on, everybody? It's Omar Almodovar here. In today's video, I have a very special guest. One of our former players, a JUCO Bandit, is going to be here with us to share his journey in the recruiting process, talk a little bit about his career and what advice he has for guys that are about to go through the recruiting process themselves. So if you want to take it away, tell them your name, where you're from, what position you play, and what school you're headed to now.
My name is Mason Hoheisel. I'm from Anoka, Minnesota. I am a right-handed pitcher, and I'm going to Northern State University in the fall.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, should have asked you for your height too. 6'7",
Oh
right-handed
yeah,
pitcher, not just a right-handed pitcher. Appreciate you joining me, man. I know
yeah,
obviously
definitely.
you're home for a little bit and you head to
hmm
school here soon, but let's take it back a little bit, right? So
Okay.
before you and I started working together, talk a little bit about, what was going on with your recruiting process at that point and, where were you at with everything?
So I was throwing really well, but I had literally nothing. I had a couple NAI offers, and then that was pretty much it. No even real interest from D2s or anything like that. It just wasn't. I didn't really know what to do. My coach wasn't helping a ton. I just didn't really have a path. Like I didn't know about I knew about Twitter, but I didn't know how to use it correctly. I was just kind of lost and I was thinking everything would just come to me and it never really did until I got in touch with you.
For sure. And, let me ask you this, because I hear a lot of guys say this. Were you a guy that, and no right or wrong answer, but were you a guy that thought, hey, if I'm good enough, they're going to come find me?
Yeah, definitely. Like I was throwing really well and nothing was coming besides like NAI offers.
Sweet. And you're a guy that you put up some serious numbers, but because not enough coaches knew about you at the levels that you wanted to play at, those
hmm
opportunities were coming to fruition. Obviously, a couple Twitter posts, a couple tweaks later, there was a lot of change, right?
Yeah.
So, once we got started, we talked about what your goals were, right? For you, location was important, playing
hmm
high level. So we talked about those goals. We put together a game plan. For you, talk a little bit about how important it was to, now have an actual game plan and have somebody helping you one-on-one rather than just, figuring out on your own and trying to let your coach help you.
Yeah, it was just a crazy difference because I knew how to use Twitter more and instantly after I made a Twitter post, like 25, 30 follows within an hour. It was crazy. Everything. I knew what I needed to do to get recruited more.
For sure. And so you're a guy, yeah, I want to talk a little bit about results, right? You're going to Northern State now, but that wasn't near the only offer you had, right? You talked to a lot of different
Yeah.
programs. Like what actually happened for you once you joined the program? We started posting on Twitter. Like, what was the biggest difference you saw?
Just a ton of there's so many schools reaching out, even schools I didn't have a ton of interest in, but it was just more attention than I'd ever gotten before from every level. And that was huge for me just to see that it was possible for me to go play at a high level somewhere.
For sure. And that's the thing, like, right, every school that reaches out to you is not going to be a school that you're super interested in, but
hmm
what is important is to be able to have the options, right? So that
Yeah,
you
exactly.
sit at the end of your recruiting process and you get to pick, okay, well, where does it make the most sense for me to go? Not just have to, sit on the one or two offers you have and have to pick from that. You were
hmm
almost in the driver's seat and you got to pick and choose. And
Yeah.
wasn't, hey, just because you posted a video, your stats also did back it up, right? Because you're a good
hmm
player. So, a lot of players watching this, they might wonder, what it's it like inside the program with me? Like, how would you describe, the support levels, the communication, your overall experience?
It was super helpful because you're pretty much always responding right away after I text you, and you were always super good with reaching out to me, what schools said, like when you reached out to schools and stuff like that. And that was huge it wasn't something like you'd say you're going to do it, and then I don't hear from you for 3 weeks. It was constantly every day. We were in touch, everything. I knew what was going on, and that was huge for me.
For sure. So, now, going through the entire recruiting process, right? What, were your expectations going into it? And then, for so to say, get punched in the face, realizing, hey, I'm putting up these numbers, I'm not getting anything out of it. And then what after that would you give to guys as advice to, kind of reset expectations before the recruiting process so guys get off on the right foot?
Yeah, I think my expectations were just find a good fit school, and that's exactly what happened. And advice for younger guys is just be patient. Everything's not going to fall into your lap right away. You're going to have to put in a little bit of work for everything to come out in front of you.
Yeah, 100%. So, for you, you're a guy that you're in the middle of nowhere playing JUCO ball. I was here in Miami, Florida. We
Yeah.
had never met before, right? Were you unsure at first about, working with somebody online you've never met, or, paying for recruiting help? And, what changed your mind?
I think it like definitely obviously I was unsure. Like some account I've never heard of reached out to me on Twitter asking to they want to help in my recruiting. And then after that Zoom, or I think it was just a phone call, we talked for I don't even know, half hour, 45 minutes, and that completely changed everything. And I talked to my parents and they were on board with it. And I think made it a pretty easy decision from there.
For sure. So now, if somebody's watching this, right, and they know that they need help with the recruiting process, they're not getting the attention that they know they deserve, but they still don't know if they should go with me because they've never met me before. From your experience, what would you tell them?
I think if you're serious about playing at a high level and you need help with your recruiting and you're not a guy that throws 100 miles an hour, hit 500 somewhere, I think this is a great way to go, and it'll definitely help you out in getting seen, which is the most important thing.
100%. And yeah, I want to talk a little bit about getting seen, right? For you, what was the biggest thing that you learned during your recruiting process? Because obviously, again, you're already a good player, you're putting up good numbers, but you didn't necessarily have the formula to get you to the schools you wanted right away. As far as recruiting and exposure goes, how can a guy out there, get off on the right foot right away by doing the right things? What would you give them?
I think being patient was huge for me and not expecting everything to come at once. And then you're gonna have to put in work too. Reaching out to schools was huge. Just following everybody on Twitter, sending DMs, emails, whatever you need to do just to try and get seen by those coaches the schools you want to play at.
For sure. And yeah, patience to, and I think that that's a good point, both points you made, because it's a balance, right?
Mhm.
Patience in terms of, hey, if I'm not getting what I want right now, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to,
Mhm.
continue to be patient. However, that doesn't mean sit back and relax, right? Putting in the work, right? I told
Yeah.
you from the beginning, hey, don't expect that, you're going to pay me and I'm going to work with you. And then you get to sit back and relax, right?
Yeah.
There's still an expectation for you to do things. And the reason that you had so many great results is because you're a guy that I never had to babysit about putting in work.
Mhm.
You're reaching out to coaches, you're posting on Twitter, and that's why you got such great results. But it's a balance. Be patient to make a decision, but don't be patient when it comes to putting in the effort because that's super
Yeah, exactly.
important.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, if anybody now wants to follow your journey as you head off to Northern State, hopefully play professional baseball here rather soon, where can guys, follow your journey or maybe reach out to you on social media if they need advice?
Twitter, Instagram, or just Mason Hoheisel, and that's all I got really.
Not a big social media guy, but
Yeah.
take it. That's all I got for you, man. I really appreciate you sharing your story. You already know what to do. Keep me in contact with everything, and
Yeah,
let's have a
definitely.
great year.
100%.